Baha'u'llah. From a talk by Abdu'l-Baha in New York City, April 18, 1912. The Blessed Perfection, Baha'u'llah, belonged to the nobility of Persia. From earliest childhood, he was distinguished among his relatives and friends. They said, "This child has extraordinary power." In wisdom, intelligence, and as a source of new knowledge, he was advanced beyond his age and superior to his surroundings. All who knew him were astonished at his precocity. During the period of youth, the Blessed Perfection did not enter school. He was not willing to be taught. Nevertheless, he was capable of solving the difficult problems of all who came to him. Until his father passed away, Baha'u'llah did not seek position or political station, notwithstanding his connection with the government. He was most generous, giving abundantly to the poor. None who came to him were turned away. The doors of his house were open to all. He always had many guests. This unbounded generosity was conducive to greater astonishment from the fact that he sought neither position nor prominence. In commenting upon this, his friends said he would become impoverished. For his expenses were many, and his wealth becoming more and more limited. He became well known in regard to these qualities before the Bab appeared. Then Baha'u'llah declared the Bab's mission to be true and promulgated his teachings. The Bab announced that the greater manifestation would take place after him, and called the Promised One him whom God shall make manifest, saying that 9 years later the reality of his own mission would become apparent. The Bab was martyred in Tabriz, and Baha'u'llah, exiled into Iraq in 1852, announced himself in Baghdad. The Persian government believed the banishment of the Blessed Perfection from Persia would be the extermination of his cause in that country. These rulers now realized that it spread more rapidly. His prestige increased, his teachings became more widely circulated. The chiefs of Persia then used their influence to have Baha'u'llah exiled from Baghdad. He was summoned to Constantinople by the Turkish authorities. While in Constantinople, he ignored every restriction, especially the hostility of ministers of state and clergy. The official representatives of Persia again brought their influence to bear upon the Turkish authorities, and succeeded in having Baha'u'llah banished from Constantinople to Adrianople. The object being to keep him as far away as possible from Persia, and render his communication with that country more difficult. Nevertheless, the cause still spread and strengthened. Finally, they consulted together and said, "We have banished Baha'u'llah from place to place. But each time he is exiled, his cause is more widely extended. His proclamation increases in power. And day by day his lamp is becoming brighter. This is due to the fact that we have exiled him to large cities and populous centers. Therefore, we will send him to a penal colony as a prisoner, so that all may know he is the associate of murderers, robbers, and criminals. In a short time, he and his followers will perish. The Sultan of Turkey then banished him to the prison of Akka in Syria. When Baha'u'llah arrived at Akka, through the power of God, he was able to hoist his banner. His light at first had been a star, now it became a mighty sun. And the illumination of his cause expanded from the east to the west. Inside prison walls, he wrote epistles to all the kings and rulers of nations, summoning them to arbitration and universal peace. Some of the kings received his words with disdain and contempt. Read it and consider, one prisoner, single and solitary, without assistant or defender, a foreigner and stranger imprisoned in the fortress of Akka. Writing such letters to the Emperor of France and Sultan of Turkey. Reflect upon this, how Baha'u'llah appraised the standard of his cause in prison. Refer to history. It is without parallel. His cause spread more and more. The Blessed Perfection was a prisoner 25 years. During all this time, he was subjected to the indignities and revilement of the people. He was persecuted, mocked, and put in chains. In Persia, his properties were pillaged and his possessions confiscated. First, there was banishment from Persia to Baghdad, then to Constantinople, then to Adrianople. Finally from Ramelia to the prison fortress of Akka. During his lifetime, he was intensely active. His energy was unlimited. Scarcely one night was passed in restful sleep. He bore these ordeals, suffered these calamities and difficulties, in order that a manifestation of selflessness and service might become apparent in the world of humanity, that the most great peace should become a reality, that human souls might appear as the angels of heaven, that heavenly miracles would be wrought among men, that human faith should be strengthened and perfected, that the precious, priceless bestowal of God, the human mind, might be developed to its fullest capacity in the temple of the body, and that man might become the reflection and likeness of God, even as it hath been revealed in the Bible, let us make man in our image. Briefly, the Blessed Perfection bore all these ordeals and calamities, in order that our hearts might become enkindled and radiant, our spirits be glorified, our faults become virtues, our ignorance be transformed into knowledge, in order that we might attain the real fruits of humanity and acquire heavenly graces. In order that, although pilgrims upon earth, we should travel the road of the heavenly kingdom. And, although needy and poor, we might receive the treasures of eternal life. For this has he borne these difficulties and sorrows. Trust all to God. The lights of God are resplendent. The blessed epistles are spreading. The blessed teachings are promulgated throughout the East and West. Soon you will see that the heavenly words have established the oneness of the world of humanity. The banner of the most great peace has been unfurled, and the great community is appearing.